Welcome, everyone. Let us know where you're joining from in the chat. And today we're going to be talking about tech committees and making sure that we can hear from every single teacher. And I'm going to walk through the kind of journey that I've experienced when it comes to tech committees and going through the process that we've kind of created through the couple of years at Pickerington Local School District. So if you have questions or need anything, please put those comments or questions into the chat. And let's go ahead and get started. So the reason that we kind of started tech committees was because we wanted to properly select digital content for our teachers. To be honest, when I was in the classroom, we didn't have a whole lot of tools. We were using a lot of the free versions. And then when we went one-to-one, we realized that we needed all of these different digital content and creation tools for our teachers. And the process was honestly hearing from the most vocal voice. So the teacher that was either kind of making a loud noise or complaint saying that they needed these different tech tools is kind of our processes. In the chat, I'm going to put a slide deck that has all of the resources for today's session. And I'm going to go ahead and go over what this process kind of looked like. So in the chat, if you don't mind, reflect on this question. What process do you currently use to select digital content? And so again, at the beginning of this process, we didn't really have a process in place. It was, again, hearing from whatever teacher was complaining, I need this product because, or teachers were just buying whatever they wanted. Buildings are buying whatever they wanted. And we had to have a process because we have so many different teachers and buildings. And it also allowed the training to kind of get easier to run. I didn't have to learn so many new products because we only had the ones that we bought. And we do have a lot of products in Pickerington. But I also love this process because you're able to hear from every single teacher. Even the teachers that are really quiet, their voice can be heard through this process. And if you click this image on the slide deck, it's going to take you to this website. And so on this website, it has all of our different resources that you might need. If something is unable to be shared, just send me a message and I'll make sure to give you a copy of it. I think everything's opened up. But if it's not, or you need a copy of the Google form, just let me know. And I'm more than happy to share any of these resources. So the first step is if teachers want to make a recommendation for a digital program that they want to be purchased. So this is not a free program. This is a program that wants to be purchased. They have to fill out this Google form. So they can fill it out as a team of teachers. They can fill it out individually, but it just is kind of a reflection to get teachers to think about the digital content that they're using in their classrooms. So right here, they would put their name, what grade they teach, the subject area they taught, the building that they're in, and then what the title of the program is. They're also going to provide the web address. And then we have to make sure that the Chromebook works with Chromebooks. That's the device that we use. Funny story is in the past, we have bought programs and they don't even work with our devices. They run slow, they do different things. And so through this process, we learned, oh, we better add a pilot within the process. So make sure that the teachers kind of think about, does this even work with the Chromebooks? The next one is, does the program or resource sync with Google? So on here, does it work with Google? Yes, no, maybe they're not sure. We use Google products, so we want to make sure that the kids can access these different products. If it's a Microsoft account that they need, we had a teacher that wanted Minecraft, but you need a Microsoft account. So we don't have those. So we would have to think about, okay, can we set those up? Is there a workaround, or what do we need to do if we do decide to go with that program? The next one is, do students need to be rostered into the program? This is kind of, is it collecting student information? Are we able to make sure that their data is good to go? Are we make sure that their privacy is in place? What do we need to do on the back end? We use ClassLink. So do we need to set something up so it auto rosters with ClassLink? So we just ask the teachers to kind of look into that. And then what's the purpose? How are they going to use this resource? And so we just want them to provide a quick summary with how the resource is going to be used in their classroom. And then when they think about that purpose, what data is going to be collected to show that it was a successful program? So again, looking at different data to decide, is this going to be a good program or not? And then does this program support differentiation? We want to make sure our goal in our district is personalized learning. And so one of the ways to get to that personalized learning is through differentiation. So are students provided with different accommodations or different pathways or different high, medium, low activities that we can use with these students? And then we want to know, how are you going to use this program in your classroom? So is it going to be like a station rotation activity? Is it going to be for homework? Is it going to be a whole group activity? Is it for creation where the students are going to show their knowledge? Is it more for you? So those are the type of questions and things that we're looking for there. And then I love this question because we use like Pear Deck, for example. And if a teacher wanted Nearpod, do they know that we have Pear Deck in our district? Is it because they're not using it because they need additional training? Or do they want Nearpod because it offers something else that Pear Deck does not currently offer? So that is a really good question. Like, what other programs do we already have in place but might function very similarly, but why would you want something else? Or do you even know that this is out here? This has helped this question because teachers will put in like a program that they hear on Facebook or Twitter. And then I can go to them and say, actually, we have this program. Can I train you on it? And let's see if you like it. And if it's something different, then we can look at something else. So this question has saved us a lot of money. And then what funding is being, what are they proposing that we can use? What funding can they propose that we use to purchase and maintain? So we don't want this program to just be 1 year if it is really good. So how are we going to maintain that program? Are we using tech funding? Are we using building funding? There's so many different funding options, department money. And so we want to know, how do you think that's going to happen? So though this is just a quick survey, again, this is only if teachers want to request a program. I would say less than 10% of teachers want to request a program, but it's nice to have this form in place, because if you have this form in place, they know that they have to go through all of these different steps and really reflect on the program before they can come to me. So I'm not getting bogged down by like, can we have this? Can we have this or this? I just say, you need to fill out this Google form and reflect on it. And then I will look it over and I'll look into the program once this form is done. And they can fill this out anytime through the year. However, a program cannot be in place in the like middle of the year. We have tech committees which start in February and they go until May. So during that time, we're looking over these programs, and it will be, if it's approved, it will be in the school district for next school year. So if it was approved. And we only do this with paid programs, this Google form. If it's free, they still have to fill out a tech ticket because we have to make sure privacy. So if it involves student logins, they must put in a tech ticket in order for it to be like approved. And we have a section on that on our website. I can show that at the end if anyone's interested. Okay, so first step's that Google form. Then the second step is all of these flow charts. So I don't know if anyone loves flow charts, but one of my boss does. So on here, but it's really helpful to have this flow chart because it goes through the different steps when evaluating a tech program. So the first thing is, it says start here for any new. So any new digital content, they have to fill out this Google form. So if we currently don't have it in our district and it's currently not approved, they must fill out this Google form. And it's all right here with a tiny URL. And then what happens after that is teaching and learning. So there's like another me, his name's David, and we talk and we look at the program together. So it's curriculum and technology coming together to look at that program to make sure it's going to meet the curriculum needs and also the technology needs. So we work really closely together, and we're going through the same process of talking and looking over the website, talking with the vendor, and really vetting the program. If we already use this program, again, we go through the evaluation every single year. So if we already have it, we do this process every single year, and then it kind of takes you to here. So if we have current items, we go with this flow chart. If it's a brand new item, we go to this one. So last year, I would say we kind of went through this one, a lot of new the last couple years, just because we wanted to make sure that our programs were aligned, and we were getting a lot of new digital content because of our budget and because of going one-to-one and the different reasons of that. And so we did start here. So we had to complete a rubric. So if you click on this, it will hyperlink for you. Oh, it did not. Let me go back. This rubric right here is the first step. So we do that every single time for both current and new programs. And I'm going to go ahead and make a copy. And every program has this rubric. So this process is pretty lengthy. That's why I say it does take from February to May. And I'll walk through the different steps of each of those months and what that looks like. But here's the rubric. And we just have to make sure, is it COPA and FERPA compliant? Does it meet the accessible, privacy statements that they say? If it does not, it's an immediate stop. We can't use that program. If it does, it might get like a 2 or 3, and then we write the score in here. Is there advertisements? If the advertisements are inappropriate, again, it's a stop. We can't go on. But if they're okay, maybe there are some ads are, throughout, but maybe there's no advertisement at all. That's a huge win. Next one is we have to go to this website and make sure we have to give it like a security grade. So we do that with, again, every single website that we purchase. And then again, if it's a D or F, it's an immediate stop. If it's a C or above, it gets that score depending. Next one, we have student data rostering. So we have to kind of go through all of these different questions to see how is does the app require student data? How are they getting that information? What's the cost? Are we going to be able to afford it? So again, these are hard stops, these type of questions. And then is the content of high quality? Again, if it's not, it's a hard stop. If it is, we keep going. And then these are kind of just like our like, we really want them to focus on these different things. So maybe like feedback. Does the app give feedback? Does it provide immediate feedback for students? And if it doesn't, it just gets a lower score. It can keep going on. It just gets that lower score. Engagement. Are the students even going to like the app? Is it easy to use? Can you adjust their, levels? And then communication features. And then the last one is our students with disabilities. Is it accessible for them? Does it have like read to? Are you able to zoom in, zoom out, adjust the text, that kind of stuff. And then after that, we score it and we decide if the score is like high enough to be approved or denied. Again, any of these hard stops is probably a no. And honestly, I don't think we've had any of the like no's. Most of the programs that we have, obviously all the programs we have gone on, but I don't think I've ever evaluated one that's been like a hard stop. I've evaluated some with like lower 2s or 3s, but nothing has really been a hard one. And again, we do this every year just because companies make changes every single year. And again, that resource is on the website. It's right here if you want to dig in more into that or make a copy of it and change any of the wording for your district. All right, so then after the rubrics are done, I kind of go this way, and David, the curriculum person, goes this way. And then we kind of meet up. But honestly, we're kind of working together on majority of these questions. So it's more of a teamwork. But here you can see if there's any no's, it's probably not going to get approved. So first, does it work with our devices? No, it's not going to get approved. If it does, it goes on to the next question. Did the item effectively work with our current infrastructure? So is the Wi-Fi good with it? Again, no, it stops because it's not going to work. If it is, it keeps going. Does it agree with our policy, privacy policy? Again, keep going. Was it able to be properly rostered by Clever or ClassLink? If all of those are yeses, we go on. And then over here, so David, or again, it's like a teamwork. He's looking at, did the item allow for intended student learning? So will this allow for student learning to, whatever we intended it to be? Yes, it keeps going. No, it stops. Was it appropriate usage? So we look over, did teachers use this in the past year? If they didn't, why are we buying it? And we've done that with programs. So we've looked at the usage data, and there were some programs with 0 usage. It was a hard stop, and it didn't continue on. And then some teachers asked why, and we just share with the data, like, if you're not going to use the program, what's the point of buying it? That's another reason for this process is our program, the usage looks good, and that's before COVID. With COVID, I mean, it was good, but it probably wasn't as good as it is now just because of the amount of digital content that we do need. But because we have our teacher's voice, they're bought in. They take ownership in this process. And so our usage numbers are pretty good, which is really helpful, because if you don't hear from them and you buy a program that they don't like, what's the point? Then the next one, did the program provide appropriate and usable evidence? So what's the evidence? Is the numbers looking good? Are we and this doesn't have to always be like with test scores. This could be with the 21st century skills. Are students able to show what they know, maybe in creative or use critical thinking, problem solving type of skills? And that's still good. So we're not just looking at test data. And then if it's good, we're going to complete the digital content questionnaire for currently used programs. And again, David and I do this together. So I'm going to go ahead and stop here at this area to show you what those questionnaires are. So back on the website, right here are the questions that we have to go through for every single program. Again, it's a long process. And if you click here, it should take you to a Google Doc to make a copy. But here are all the questions in that Google Doc. And so on here, we have the name of the program, what grade levels want the program, and then the purpose, content, areas. So what was the goal of using the program? So we just kind of say, what was the goal of it? What evidence do we have to support that? What was the purpose of it? And then number 3, what's the appropriate usage? So this is where I contact all of our vendors asking for usage reports. I go to ClassLink and pull usage reports. I go to like any admin website areas I have and grab the usage, and I plop it in here. Just so I can prove to our Board of Education that yes, our teachers are using this program, and here's why. So I've got a lot of reasons as to why. Is this program still aligned with our curriculum, pacing guides, frameworks, maps, and etc.? So we use Springboard and Eureka Math. Does this align to our curriculum? If it doesn't, again, why are we using it? So we just kind of explain there if it doesn't align to our standards, or if it does. If they made changes, we explain those changes. Did the program provide actionable evidence that was useful to educators? So again, did it give teachers feedback on how the students are doing, and is that evidence actionable for them to use in their classroom? Does this program still support one of our areas? So this is where I'm kind of talking about like that personalized learning. Does it focus on whole child and relationships? Or maybe it focuses on authentic experiences or professional learning. So does it fall into one of these areas that Pickerington is our plan for progress? Does it fall into one of those areas to support our vision for our district? And then does it support those 21st century skills? So that's where the creativity, problem solving, collaboration, communication, those type of skills comes into play. So those C's. Does it, still support all of those different things? Are there major changes to the program since it was last evaluated? I love this question because it allows me to go back and say, okay, like Google, for example, they upped their Google Meet since last time I evaluated it. So I'm able to go in and say, okay, they added breakout rooms, they added a timer, they added all these different things. Yes, they're making improvements. And I love this question because it allows me to go, this program we've had in our district for 4 years and they haven't made any changes. So it's kind of a fun way to look at it and to kind of compare over the years. Like you said you were going to do this, because companies love to say that. Companies love to say, we're going to add this feature, and then they never do. And so then I'm kind of able to kind of go back through my notes and look over these questions. Number 9, are there any flaws that are preventing the effective use of the program? This is another good one. I can go to a vendor and say, hey, there's this flaw and my teachers aren't able to use it because of this reason. And then they can either try to make updates, or maybe it's just like a teacher request. Like, this takes way too many clicks. It would be nice if I could just do this, this, and this. Or I want this feature so I can give feedback. I want audio added into Pear Deck. That was one of the highest teacher feedback, and Pear Deck added that request. I don't know if it was just my teachers. I'm sure it was teachers all around asking for it, but it's just nice that they can add what flaws are preventing me from using this program. And can I allow then my voice to be heard to that company? And then when they see things happening, they get excited. So I just got asked, are parents involved in this program? So students are involved in this program, but not parents. That's a really interesting question, and I'm trying to think what that would look like. So if you guys have ideas for that, I would love it, because I'm going to show you after we go through the whole process, which takes forever, what my process has looked like and how it's transformed, because it's ever evolving. It's never just stopping. So I want to kind of think about that, because that's a really good question, because especially this year, parents have been involved in the learning probably more than ever. And I just want to kind of think about, like, what would that look like if they were able to kind of give some input on some of these content. So thank you for bringing that up. Do students like the program? So there's that question about the students. Do they hate it? Do they like it? Does it help them learn? Has the training been appropriate for educators? And if not, what training needs to happen? So that's where I kind of look at the usage reports and go, okay, this department is not using it. Have I trained them this year? No. Okay, then I need to do something to train them if I think it's going to be good for that department. Is there anything we need to let the vendor know before we review the contract? So again, is there something that didn't go well? Is there something we're waiting for? So before we give them that money, what did we need from them that they didn't say they were going to do? And then we get a quote for what we're recommending. So we email the vendors and ask for that quote of programs and how much it's going to cost for that school year. Okay. And again, those same questions are on this website, just if you want a Google Doc. And again, let me know if they're not open to Pickerington, and I'm more than happy to share these resources with you. All right. And then back to the flow chart. Okay. So after we answer those questions, we decide as a committee. So this is where we involve teachers, admin, coaches, myself, David, pretty much all of these different people that make a committee. And we determine, is this program going to go on for approval? Yes, it goes on. If not, we give a why. So that way teachers know this program was not accepted due to privacy. This program was not done because of whatever reason. And then we make the recommendation to our Director of Instructional Technology and the Director of Teaching and Learning. And then it decides if they gets approved or not. So if there's money, it's approved. If there's no money, it kind of goes through a no why. So they kind of trust us through this process, and they kind of look over everything, and then it's approved if there's money. If there's no money, it's not approved. And honestly, with this process, I think I've only had the green. There was one like GimKit we couldn't approve due to funding. So like we kind of make a list too of like what we want. And then, so GimKit wasn't approved, but then we were able to get it because some extra money came in this school year. So we do make like a list of like must have to like okay to get rid of, but wouldn't be nice to have if we could. Okay. Are those evaluations available, the ones you have already done? Like an example of a program that has gone through this process? I can share if you want me to. Let me know if that's what you're looking for, though. Okay, so next one is any new programs. So new programs, again, we complete the rubric. GimKit is a game that students can play. There's a free version of it. I think you get like 4 free games for free, and it's just like Kahoot or quizzes where you can play games. The kids love it. And we bought it for our VLA teachers because it motivated students to get onto class and play the game. So it's a really fun way to play and to learn. So it's just kind of like a Kahoot or quizzes. All right, new content. So this is where like I had to take GimKit through because we didn't have it in previous years. So again, we go through that rubric, which we kind of talked about earlier. So we go through the same rubric for old content and new content. Then once we have the rubric, we go to, again, David and I kind of split, but again, we work really closely as a team. So we don't really split, but I think it depends on how closely you are with your curriculum person. Again, I really think you should become best friends with your curriculum person because it will make your life a lot easier. So make sure you do become friends with them. So does this item align with our curriculum? So they're going to look over, does this new program align with the curriculum that I'm trying to use? I have to make sure, does the item effectively work with our current and future devices? So I have to think about, okay, what device are we going to probably get next year in the future? And is this going to work for every single device that we have? Some years we bought devices without touchscreens. So is that device going to work without a touchscreen? Now we usually buy devices with touchscreen, but there's an older version that does not have a touchscreen. So I have to just keep that in mind for those kids that have that device. So it's just really good to know what devices do you have and what devices do you need to make sure. After that, does this item work with our current infrastructure? So again, same questions. And I always check this even with the current programs because you never know what changes the company will make. Same thing like with Flash going away. Does that company use Flash, and is that going to affect the instruction? Probably. Does this item agree to PLSD's privacy? So again, same type of question. And then can this item be rostered by Clever or ClassLink? So I kind of get the easy route of my questions are pretty much the same. But here we have this new digital content guide. So these questions are kind of similar, but again, this one pops up faster than this one in the process. Okay, so if you go here, again, you can click it, make a copy of it. All the questions are on here as well. This one has a lot more questions than the first one. Okay, so this one is a little bit more in depth. Again, I'm using that Google form that teachers submitted to kind of help me throughout the process as well. So I'm using their answers of how they plan to use it, what they said in this Google form to really help me focus on why do we need this program. Also down here, we have questions that we ask the vendor. This has helped tremendously because I'll be on a call with a vendor and they're like, any more questions? And I'm like, no. And having these here have helped me to go, no, I do have a question. What is the required, what's required to implement this digital content in a classroom and at scale? These questions really helped me that we were able to write them down, and then we're able to question vendors vendors are shocked when we come to them with like all of these different questions because they're not used to it. Also, we have like buzzwords to watch out for. So I'll go through these too, because I think having these questions for the vendor are really important because, again, they're trying to sell you a product. And so they're not used to like educators asking them all of these different questions. But on the new form, again, name of the program, the grade levels that are going to use it, the purpose of the content area. What does this digital content allow our students to learn? So like, again, what's the purpose? How will it meet the needs of our students than something that we're currently using? So for example, we moved to iReady last year. So when I was doing this process for iReady, how is iReady going to meet the students' needs better than something we're currently using? Well, iReady is able to personalize the students' learning based on their diagnostic tests. We had no program that could do that. And so that was an easy way to explain that. If there's something similar, we sometimes will just, again, tell the teacher like, hey, this is really similar to a program that we currently have. And I want you to look into this program. I'm going to walk through with you. I will co-teach with you. I will do whatever you need to do. So that's where a lot of that co-teaching comes into play. That's where a lot of the training comes into play if we have something that's already being used. And if the teacher, again, still wants that program, we might move forward with the process to see, okay, do we want to change in and out? Or are there teachers that really do like this program and it's just this one teacher's voice? Again, this is where these different surveys, questionnaires come into play. Because if you only listen to your loudest teacher, you're not going to listen to the other teachers that are using that program. And then you're going to hear from them when you do get rid of it. And it becomes sticky. I've been in that situation and I don't want you guys to, because it does get sticky. What research is available to show this will improve students' learning? So this is where we're looking at different white papers. We're talking with different companies. We're talking with different districts. We're looking at research to show that their product really is good. And sometimes if they don't have it, we'll make note of that. But it's really good to know like what research do they have that shows that this is a really good program. Will it help increase student engagement? Is this program going to help increase that student engagement piece? Are they going to love this program or are they going to hate it? How will differentiation allow for personalized learning? So how does this program allow for differentiation in the classroom? How have they, had different pathways for students so that it does go to and personalized learning is our kind of mission statement for our district. So yours might look a little different. We're just really pushing that personalized learning piece. So again, yours could be different for what your vision for your district is, and that's totally fine. The next one is how will it align to our current curriculum framework? So this goes back to what curriculum we're using and how will it go to that and relate. Is digital content adaptive? Is it the same content for all students? So again, that's where our personalized learning is at the kind of front end. And that's what we're looking for as a district is these programs going to personalize the students' learning? Again, what flaws do we see of the new digital content? What data will be provided so that we can, kind of use it to export and help teachers so that we can also see student progress. So we ask for like, what data will the teachers get from this program? And then we really look into that. Does this program align properly with curriculum and district goals, or is it just another shiny thing? So again, we're looking at, does this align with our goal of personalized learning? And if it doesn't, then is it just another shiny thing that is going to go away in a couple years? Does this foster, dialogue and empower students? Or are they going to be just that compliance piece? So we want to know, like, are students going to work together and collaborate and communicate with one another? Or are they just going to kind of be compliant with it? How do leaders, so those leaders give, those different resources and trainings? So how have you seen your training with your product work with the district? So we look and ask teachers, like, how did you train teachers on iReady so that they loved it, that they felt empowered, that they felt comfortable and confident to use that program? So we ask kind of like best practices, like what did you do? What did you not do? What should we do? What should we not do? With the company and with other districts that have used this program and implemented it. Is the digital content easy to use? So are they going to be able to like click and know, like, is it like Google where the share buttons in the same spot with every single product? Or is it going to take some time to train? So we kind of like to know, like, are teachers going to pick up on it really quickly or are they not? And again, is it multiple clicks or is it just like one click and they're there? So that kind of helps too. And then how are we sure that this is not going to be one of those programs that we need to get rid of for next year? Which we have done. We've made all of these mistakes. That's why there's questions in place. So learn from us. But it's just true, like, how do we know that this is going to be a really good program that we just don't get rid of? We don't want to just keep getting rid of programs because that takes a lot of time and training and working with the vendor. So we want to make sure, like, do you understand that we don't want to get rid of this for next year? So what are we going to do to make sure that we don't? Or is this a program that's just a gap filler that we're going to use for 1 year? So we really do want to look into that because it does take a lot of training. And then does this program support one of our areas for the plan for progress? And that's where we talked about in the other questionnaire where it's personalized learning, whole group, or whole child and relationships, authentic experiences, and personalized learning. So how does this fall into that area to help teachers? And then we want to make sure, again, does this fall into the 21st century skills that we have set up for students? And our 21st century skills are linked here: empowered learners, digital citizenship, and so on and so on. So we just want to make sure, does it fall into one of these gaps? And yes, we do this every single spring. So it's like February to May. Every single year, teachers know to expect tech committees, and it is a long process. It takes that entire time. And again, I'm going to walk through our timeline in a little bit after I get through kind of the process. Kind of wanted you to understand like the whole picture, and then I'll show you what I've done that's a mistake and how it's improved over the years. And then on this questionnaire, again, questions for vendors. So all of the questions that we could ask vendors are here, and they're able to be typed on. And I share this doc. I'll show you like the format that I've used for this year. In prior years, I've used like a Google Sheet, and everybody in Pickerington can view and edit. And so like the people that have access to that are like me, the coaches, the teachers. And then if anybody's talking to the vendor, we can all make notes. So that way, when I'm talking to the vendor, I can go, you said this with this person. I'm able to kind of, like use that to make sure they're not lying to us and to make sure that they really are saying the same message throughout the process. I know the vendors, poor vendors, it's bad. I hope none of the vendors are watching because it does stink when they work with us. So where have you seen digital content used where it's effective? So I want to know, where have you seen it used, your program, so I can talk to those people. I want to build a relationship with those people because if I have questions, I can go to them or I can go back to the vendor if I needed to. Where have you trained teachers so that they can uniformly perform within guidelines? So where have they trained? So again, I want to get references from other districts that have used you before in the past to make sure that this is a really good program. Where is the data that shows you have achieved performance? So again, that's where I want to see the data. I want to see, where has this program been successful? Which a lot of district or programs do have this data. Where have you seen historically successful teachers? So where have you seen like those teachers that are really doing a great job? Because I want to talk to them and figure out, what are they doing so that my teachers can do those things. And then I want to know, what is your customer support process? Because if it's going to take you a week to get back to me about a question that I have about your program, I'm not interested. I need that really quick 24-hour support. I don't want to be like down the road where you're like, oh, yeah, they answered this, because I probably don't need that answer anymore. So I want that quick customer support. Do they have a chat? Do they have email? Do they have a phone number? It's surprising how many tech companies don't have even a phone number. So again, it can be hard to get a hold of those companies that don't even have a phone number when I am in like immediate, like I need help now type of situation. And I don't want to have to wait a week to give a teacher an answer why something's not working, or if they have a question about the program that I can't find on their resource page or Google. I also look at their help pages and see if that's even going to be helpful. And then I want to know their pricing structure. So is it by district? Is it by building? Is it per student, per teacher? And then I will get a quote if I plan on recommending this program. Okay, so this is kind of huge because I need to know how are you organizing your pricing structure, because every single program is different. I kind of wish they were the same, but they're not. And then I want to give the vendor our current devices and let them know that this is what we have, this is what we're going to have, and is this going to work with your program? Because again, if it's not, then it's a waste of my time and it's a waste of their time. So these again are all of the questions. I share these with the team of the committees, and then we're all able to go in and answer these questions together. So again, it's a team, it's not just me. I'm the one leading this committee for my staff, but it's not just me. Okay, and then on the flow chart again, then we're looking at, is there not a currently approved program? So is there something that does the same thing? Again, does the teacher need training if there is, or no? So we're looking at that kind of question as well. And then do we have an understanding of the instructional purpose for this item? Do we understand what its purpose for this if we buy this program? Okay, and then there's a ton of different no's here. Again, this is for if it's a new program because we've never used this vendor before. Has this item been vetted by a committee of educators? So the reason this got added was because of me. We bought a program and we didn't pilot it. And again, the teachers, it didn't work. So the teachers were like, I love this program. And then it didn't even work on our devices. Okay. So we have to now pilot. So we can either do this with like a small group of teachers. So like 5 teachers. So that way we have like enough from each building. Or we can do this as a department, or we could do a whole school pilot. So like, for example, this year we're going with Edulastic. We're piloting it to figure out where it's going to land in this process. We currently have Elluminate, but we've had a lot of issues with Elluminate. And so now we're looking at Edulastic. And so right here, the teachers right now are piloting it. It's the whole district piloting it. It's not just a committee. They were nice enough to give it to every single teacher. So you need to just ask them what they can do for you. But they gave it to our whole district. So our teachers are going through that right now. They provided training. I provided like follow-up training one-on-one with my teachers. Okay, the next question is, has the vendor done a presentation to the members? Yes, the vendor did do a training and presentation for the committee. So again, they offered it for all the teachers. So you just want to ask those questions. That's why it's important to ask. And don't be afraid to ask, because I was afraid to ask. And then have some teachers test the item out in the classroom. Again, was there a pilot done? Yes, the pilot is being done right now with Edulastic. Did pilot teachers believe the item was beneficial for them? This is kind of where we're at. I don't know yet because they're still piloting it. They're going to give me feedback in less than a month. To be honest with what I'm seeing in the classrooms, because I do walk around a lot, my teachers seem to like it. The questions that they're asking have been beneficial. They know I've gone over, this is the free version of it. This is the pro version. So they know what programs they are going to have to make a decision about and know the difference between, because I think that's huge too. You've got to say like, this is a free version, but if you want text to speech, that's a pro version. So that way they know what the differences are, because teachers sometimes don't always think about that. So I always tell the company, like, I need a chart with free versus pro. So that way the teachers can quickly see what is free and what is a pro feature. Okay. If Edulastic, for example, is going on, we will make the recommendation to the instructional tech and the teaching and learning, and then we will adapt it. If the answer is no, then the teachers didn't like it and their voice was heard. Again, they're filling out Google Forms and like all of this stuff, and it's a long process, but I'm able to hear from every single teacher, okay? So that is the process. And again, the process begins in February and ends in May. The beginning of May is when I make the recommendations, and then that gives the director of teaching and learning and technology time to make a decision by the end. So when teachers go for summer break, they know what programs they're going to have next school year. Okay, so that again is the process. It's all on this website. So you've got the Google form here, and I'm going to try to force a copy for you guys once I can get into that form. Here is the rubric. And again, just click on it, make a copy. Here's the questionnaires. And then down here, just type of evidence to consider. It's just kind of like things that were defined out for teachers and myself. Data privacy laws, if you need any of this kind of like information, these are really good websites that kind of help us when we're doing our research. And then here's our local school personalized perfection agreement plan that we have. So that's kind of like everything that we have. And I like it because it's on that one stop. And then like on this website, feel free to like look into it if you want. It's got so many different resources that it can be overwhelming. So if you have questions, just let me know. But on this same website, I just want to point out like are free. So these ones are free. So these ones are based on privacy laws. These websites, teachers don't pay for the programs. It's just free programs. And then they're able to see, okay, I can use this website because it's on this website and it's been approved. So they can kind of see. And if it's been rejected, we tell them why. So like ReadWorks, for example, it shares way too much student information with third-party vendors without our knowing. So that is not approved for teachers to use. Again, there's not a whole list, but it is on here. So that way they know why it's not approved. And then teachers don't have to like ask. They can just go here and see like Wakelet. It's good for 13 or older if they're going to sign in. They can use it if they use a code and don't give any of their information. Same thing for this one. So like we give them kind of those reasons as to why. And it's nice for me too, because I sometimes forget and I can just quickly go here and look up what I need to do. Okay, so that was a lot of information. And again, you can just go to teachers and there's like a ton of different resources on here that are for our teachers, but feel free to look over anything. And our technology plans are on here as well. All right. So that's the whole process. I know that is probably like super overwhelming, but we're not done. So please stick with me. And again, if you guys have questions throughout the process, just reach out to me. I don't mind answering any type of questions. And I've gone through it. I've made the mistakes. So just let me know what you need. So what does this actually look like? So you got to kind of like you got to make that process like easy for educators to understand because it's a lot. Like if you have a tech background, you get what that looks like. But if you don't have like a tech background, sometimes you get lost in it and you're like, why do I need to know this? Like some teachers are like, Stephanie, I don't need to know all this. And I'm like, but you do. So this is kind of what the timeline looks like. And if you click this image, it's going to take you to what my tech committee process is going to look like for this school year. So I'm going to put the slide deck real quick back in the chat. That way if you need it. And again, if you click that image, it will take you to this Google document. So this is what my teachers are going to use. This is what it's going to actually look like the day that it goes live. And I'm doing that Wednesday. So at the beginning of February, I worked on creating this document. So that was like the creation, the start of it. And let me get rid of that. There we go. So for 2021, this is what my tech committee plan looks like. So my teachers are going to work together on this Google document. They're going to go to File, make a copy, and they can all fill out their names of who's filling this out. If one person wants to do this, I'm fine with that. If they want to fill it out as a group of people, I'm good with that as well. So they're going to decide, what do I want this to look like as I'm filling this out, this document. They're going to name what their TBT. So TBT in our district is teacher-based team. So example, like 6th grade ELA. Again, they can fill this out by building if they wanted to. I don't care. I just want to make sure I hear from every single teacher. So I leave that up to them on how they fill this out and when they fill this out. So everything's due by March 17th. So they have a whole month. They can separate this out and do like 3 programs a week, or they can wait until last minute and fill it all out then, or they can do it all at the beginning of the time and get it all done. I don't care how they work on this. I just need it done by the 17th is kind of how I tell them. On the 17th, they are going to meet with me. So again, on Wednesday, they're going to have a meeting with me. And I'm going to do an overview of this portion of the tech committee. So everybody's voice will be in that the meeting. We haven't formed our tech committee yet, but every teacher will hear the process of this year's tech committee and what it's going to look like. And then on the 17th, we have a student Google form, and we have a teacher Google form, and we have this Google document that they have to make a copy of, and if they want to request any new programs. So that was the Google form we talked about earlier. And then they have to nominate a tech rep. So all of that is due on the 17th. Okay, so all of those documents are due on the 17th. On the 24th, a tech committee is going to meet with me, and we're going to decide next steps. So they know in advance when the meeting is, so that way they're not nominating someone that cannot be there. They're nominating someone that will listen to every single person in their department. So they're really looking over who's going to be the best person to support our department and share everyone's voice. However, I've got all of these Google Forms and everything that I'm able to hear from every single teacher as well. And then in the month of April, I'm meeting with David, the coaches, and we're working on different paperwork. So that's where all of those questionnaires are being done. That's where I'm talking with vendors. I'm looking over data. I'm looking over usage. That's pretty much my April. It takes a lot of time. So we try to set up one day where it's like all day, and we try to get as much done as we can in that one day as a team. And then I'm just kind of working on stuff throughout. And then I'm submitting the recommendations to Brian and Sabrina, who are the directors. And then at the end of May, I send out an email of what programs have been approved for next school year. And I usually include why they have not been approved if there's any programs that have not been approved. All right. And then again, I give them like an overview. Please complete this document as a TBT team. So again, every single teacher has to complete this Google form. And this Google form just asks what subject they teach. It asks what grade level they teach. And then they rate every single program. And then at the end of it, they pick their top 3 programs. And then it gives them a chance to leave any additional feedback that they might want to individually. So maybe they felt like they were not heard in their TBT team, so their teacher-based team. And they can leave feedback here, and I will read every single one of these. So they're able to leave that individual feedback if they wish. Again, it's just all of the programs and a rating scale on how they feel about it. And again, we have so many programs. If they don't use it, I just tell them to leave it blank. So if they don't use like Newsela, leave it blank, and then just go to the next one. And then after they fill out that information, again, they make a copy of this Google Doc, and they're going to share it with their team members, me, and allow anyone in Pickerington to view. So that way it's available for like Brian to view, anybody who needs to come in and view that might not be shared with them. But I want to have access just so I can make comments or whatever. Then the next stop, again, I like tell them, share it with me. Like seriously, I don't want to have to hunt you down. And I don't want them to think like if they don't share it with me, I might be like, okay, they don't care if their voice is being heard, or they don't care what programs we have. So I just kind of want to stress that it's important for them to share it with me. I made a video clip for them if they want to go through this. It's 11 minutes. That's my goal, is to just kind of keep it short for them to understand the whole process of what they will be doing. So all of that is available for my teachers. And then right here, I can add recordings that I'm going to do for my teachers. So I'm going to actually add in the recordings of the time that I meet with them. And then I give them the Google site that goes over the whole process so that they can understand the whole process again, just like I went over with you guys, but I do kind of a shorter version because they've heard the process multiple years. And it's just like a reminder for them and new teachers. And then here I hyperlink in the usage reports. So like we can look at, let's see here. I think who has a really good one? Let's look at Edulastics. So if I go into Edulastic, I create like a folder for each of them, and then I throw any of the information that they give me, and I can see really quick who's using it. I can see like my math teachers are using it like crazy, and all of that different kind of information. I love these reports because you can see your most active teachers. And so if I need a training done, I go to those teacher leaders and I just say like, hey, you were the top Edulastic teacher for the district. Can you do a training for me? And more than likely, they usually say yes. So that's also nice research to have. In these boxes, again, they're only going to answer those programs that they use. So if they don't use like Newsela, they're going to leave it blank. Okay. If they don't use BrainPop, they're going to leave it blank. And they are telling me, are there any flaws that are preventing them to use this program? So what flaws are preventing you from using this? Has the training been done? Do you feel supported? If not, what do you want training on? When do you want it? What do you want? I need the details about that. And then any additional comments that they have. So again, they're working in a Google Doc because then they can all provide their voice. Before I did a Google form and it worked, but I didn't like it as much. So those are for all of the programs. Down here, because we're evaluating Edulastic versus Elluminate this year, they are going to vote on pros for this, pros for Elluminate, cons, and then they're going to cast their votes. Again, this will be everyone on which program they want to go with for the next school year. So again, I'm hearing from every single teacher. I'm not just hearing a couple teachers. I'm hearing from every single teacher, which really does make an impact on the usage reports and the usage and their buy-in levels. Same types of questions. These are just junior high programs. Different grade levels have different programs, which kind of make it nice because the students don't get burned out. So that is kind of a plus to some of those programs. Some programs are district-wide though. And then I have a final thought. So students will also take a survey, which we'll talk about, but here is where they're going to nominate that tech rep. So they're going to nominate who it is, what department, what grade level. That way on the 25th, they're able to come together and decide next steps with me, 24th. So we meet together and look over that information. After we do that, I want to know, okay, COVID has been huge for tech usage. I mean, in every single district, because we can't do what we do without technology right now, with some cases, virtual learning academy or whatever. So I want to know, what programs have you used during COVID that you will continue to use when we return back to whatever normal looks like? So how will usage change? How will it look different? Do we need to get rid of the program? Will you not use it if COVID's not here? Will the usage increase if COVID's not here? So I want to know, like, because COVID was such like a huge factor, is that program still going to be relevant when we do go back to normal? And we don't know when that's going to be, but I want to just make sure that they're able to use that program, because I don't want to spend money on a program if they no longer need the pro version of it, because the free version will work in a face-to-face classroom. And then any additional notes that they might have about anything with this process. Again, it's really lengthy. What I suggest though to teachers is like do one row at a time, or do so many programs, and then you have a whole month to complete it, which is like 5 Wednesdays that my teachers get to plan together to work on it. So spend like 15 minutes. And then they give a survey to their students. And this honestly, like sometimes it's like a hilarious thing, but the kids just put in here, brain pop. Love it. Does it help you learn? Yes, no, other. They leave comments. The comments are hilarious. It also has helped me because I've been able to look at patterns. And so like one of the questions is like, iReady. Okay. They hate it. Some of the kids. Well, why do you hate it? Or no, it doesn't. They said like they don't want to ask their teacher for help. And so we had that conversation with teachers, and the teachers were able to kind of use that information and provide more iReady time where the kids could ask for help. They could work in small groups with their students on iReady. So we were able to like build that into their schedule, and we were able to provide professional learning for them, so that this program was more effective the following year. So if we didn't hear from our students, we wouldn't have known that, which is really huge. So some of the comments are hilarious. Again, some of them are really helpful. So the kids just answer every single program we have. And if they don't use it, they just let us know. And then we can kind of look to like, okay, which teachers are really not using these programs, which departments, and how do the kids feel about it? And then I just remind them, email me. And then this is where I kind of organize all of the data. So I link all of those reports into here. So once the math 4th grade sends it to me, I'll link it right here. I will put the 5th grade ELA one here. If I don't get one, then I know who I need to talk to and ask like, hey, I didn't get your data. And usually I'll type like what they're sending me, because if it's like Diley, I'll put the school name for where it is. And then right here, I have like the links for the data that's coming in. So then I can see like, okay, what top 3 programs did the teachers say that they liked? And I can look over this data. This form's kind of a mess because I made a copy of it. So I need to delete the questions that aren't in there from last year. But you can see like my type A teachers have already gone in and answered these questions, which is really nice. And I like to give those teachers time to kind of go through this so that they can process it. And then here's like a student technology one. So far, some kids have done it. You can see like right here, it shows helpful simulation. So yes, which just kind of is helpful when looking at these comments on what they think about it. Sometimes it does its own stuff. I don't know what she was. Oh, comments about your Chromebook. So then you can kind of go, okay, maybe there's issues with that model if I get a lot of these comments. So just hearing from the kids kind of makes it nice. Again, I've only had 2 kids because it hasn't been pushed out until later. Yeah, I'll put the link to the slide deck in the chat again. And all the resources are linked on there. If you can't find something, just email me and just take a screenshot of what you need so I can be like, oh yeah, that. So that way I can get you what you need. And then I have our data for Edulastic versus Illuminate. So that way teachers can see how it's being answered. I create like a presentation that has usage and information. This one's from like last year, and then I'm going to go in and replace the links and some of the data. And this is what I'll give to the tech committee. So I'll just remind them of the process, and then we'll look over like what next steps need to take place. Proposals. This is where I write all of the proposals. I kept the ones from the previous year. I know somebody wanted to see this, so let's go ahead and look at iReady. So you can see how I scored it. And again, this is as a team. So this one got a score of a 37. So that's the rubric. And then over here, if it's old digital content, it goes in this area. If it's new, it goes in this one. Oh, let me go ahead and undo. There we go. And so like, let me go ahead and click. You can see we named it. And then this year I can kind of go over here to the 2021, and then I'm able to pull up the rubric for iReady and kind of compare it from year to year, which is really nice. So that way I know what needs to be done. Same thing for new and old digital content. Okay, and then like here you can see usage reports. I can see like it empowered learners and why. There wasn't anything major that changed. So you can just kind of see, this is what the kids said about if they liked it. So do the students like the program? And then we can add other data there. And this data is pulling in from all of the Google Forms. And then after all of that, I have a list of who was on the technology, just so I know if I ever need to ask them like questions or get more feedback from them, I have that all in one place. Okay, so that's this year's process. Again, very, very lengthy. And then I just kind of wanted to real quick walk through what this process has looked like, because it has changed throughout the years. So in 2007, it was my 2017, it was my first year as a technology coordinator. And so before that, I was a teacher, special education, and there was no process. It was pretty much like if you asked your principal, you could get whatever you wanted, or you just paid out of pocket. In 2017, was my first role in this, no process again. It was the loudest teacher, pretty much got whatever they wanted, which just kind of drove me crazy because I was very like introverted as a teacher. And so it can get frustrating, you know, when you're quiet and you want something, but you don't want to sound rude about it. 2018, I just worked with a small group of teachers and the like Google Docs really ugly. Like this is seriously what I used. And I'm like looking back and I'm like, oh my gosh. But you can just see here like notes and data. So I did a Google Slides presentation for the committee. We reviewed the teacher data. So I've always used a Google form to get like how the teachers feel about different programs. I've pulled usage reports every single year. We started the rubric this year, so I went ahead and explained what the rubric looked like. I did the rubric. I told the teachers like what programs have to stay and then what programs will not be approved for next year. So I'm pretty like open with them and very transparent about why those programs are staying or why they're not. And then here we talk about like the digital programs available. Like, I can't believe I'm sharing you with this because this process was really ugly. And then the teachers would write like what programs to keep, what programs to get rid of. So that was the first year of the committee. So I just want you to know, like, it's okay if it's not perfect that first year, just do it. And again, it wasn't pretty at all that first year. 2019, it got a little bit prettier. And I created like steps. My biggest issue with 2019 was I had my building leadership teams in charge of this. We had a lot of snow days, and every time I was supposed to meet with them, there was like a snow day. And so I made a video and I thought that they would watch it and they didn't. So when they were communicating to their teams, they really struggled. And there was a lot of miscommunication between my department, the teachers, and understanding what to do. So if I was to redo this, I think I would just do a live session like I'm doing this year. Again, everybody was super confused because the building leadership was the one that was supposed to go over these steps, and they were not giving out correct information, or they were adding to the confusion. And honestly, it was a hot mess. So again, I had them like review the slide deck. A lot of them didn't watch the video, so they had no idea what to do. We talked about like the top 3, the rubrics and iReady. Then their next step was to do Google Form. So for what I made a Google Doc this year, they went in and they all did this on a Google Form. So here's the video I made in 2019 if you want to watch it. Let's see how long this thing was. 20 minutes. No wonder no one watched it. So that explains a lot, right? Like, oh, people aren't going to watch a 20-minute video. So I said like, this was sent an email, you know, but people still did not watch the video. And so there was a lot of miscommunication. So that's why I'm doing a live event, because I think them they're asking questions, me able to answer them will make it a lot better. Again, we'll find out if that's the case or not the case. And then on here, they had to work together. One person was typing. That's why I'm moving to the Google Doc, because I don't want to just hear. So here's this, and everything on here, you can make a copy of all the Google Forms, which I'll talk about in a minute. But like, I wanted this Google document to be so everybody's voice could be heard. I could not hear from everyone through this Google form because it was one person typing. So that's one huge change I made from this year, from last year, was that step. And then after they did that, they had to do the questionnaires. I made the teachers do the questionnaires that year, which was a hot mess. So I just did the questionnaires this year with the tech committees. So less people were involved, which made it a lot more easier and controllable. And then they all sent out student surveys. So I've been doing that student survey for a while. And then I gave them the to-do dates and then more information. Again, this was a hot mess because of the communication. They needed to probably hear it from me and not their building leadership team. So I take full responsibility of this hot mess, of the miscommunication, because some teams heard things because they watched the video and some teams did not. Because what teacher does have 20 minutes to listen to a video? So it was my mistake. And then 2019, we just went over. 2020, here are all the resources. I haven't published this yet. I do like a weekly vlog idea. I hate writing, so it's mostly video. But I'm going to put this in the chat. I'm going to change the date because I'll probably publish it this weekend. But on here, there's so many different ideas if you just need ideas to use in the classroom. But if you want to make a copy of the Google Doc that I use, you're more than welcome to. There's video if you want to watch the shorter version, which is like 11 minutes, or you just need a quick recap. And then you can copy any of these documents in this folder. So there's Google Forms if you want to copy any of these or see them. There's also any of these if you want to make copies of those. And then we made it. Finally, I know that was such a long presentation. I'm going to put the slide deck in the chat as well. But if you guys have any questions, please reach out to me. I think I answered majority of them in the chat. But go ahead and ask any questions if you do have any right now. And again, just do it. You're going to make mistakes. I made mistakes along the whole way, but having this process in place has really, really helped my teachers and me hear from every single voice. Also, I can't stress like how much I'm excited to try the process this year, because I've been able to see how much of a change it has been from year one to now. And I'm also going to put the website that's on slide 4 in the chat as well. So feel free to look over any of those links or resources. And again, if you need anything, please reach out to me. And I'm going to add this, let me see here, this one to the this Google folder. So I will do that as soon as I hit end. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. And again, if you have any questions, please reach out to me on Twitter. I'm going to put my handle back up, and I look forward to connecting with you guys.